So in the last session, we discussed about two types of logging, circular logging and archival logging. By default, circular logging is enabled, and in this session, we are going to see how to enable archival logging and how to take online backups. So in order to set up the archival logging, you got to enable logarch method and then also take a full online offline backup before you can start taking online backups and if needed recover to point in time. So there are two steps. One is set this parameter logarch method, and once that is set up, take a full offline backup, and then from then you're ready to take online backups and do a point in time recovery. Let's see how this can be done. So first of all, let's validate what is the current logging mode. db2 get dbcfg for sample and we're going to grep for logarch method. So if you see, the logarch method is turned off, which means only circular logging is enabled. So let us try and take online backup. So as we saw earlier, we cannot take online backup if there is no archival logging. Let us set up archival logging. db2 update dbcfg using logarch method disk, and then you can give the location where the archive logs should go. So this is the location where all the archive logs will go. db2 will send the active logs to archive logs destination as specified here. So let's see if this is updated. So if you see logarch method, now you see this location. So all the logs, once they are committed and returned to disk, they are sent to this destination by db2. And let us now try and take a online backup. db2 backup db sample online. So it is going to throw an error because, as discussed earlier, there are two steps in this process. One is setting the logarch method. The second is taking a full offline backup. So the first step is done. We set the logarch method to this value, but the second step is pending. So let's go ahead and take the offline backup. db2 backup db sample. So as discussed earlier, you need the online clause for online backup, and without that it means offline backup. And the offline backup is successful, and this is the timestamp. Now you should be able to take online backups. You see, online backup is successful, and you know, all the logs, archive logs, will be written here, and you can do point in time recovery with these settings. Let's go back to the slides now. So crash recovery, as discussed earlier, crash recovery is done by db2 when the first database activation happens. So let's see the parameter that is required. Sample grep for auto restart. This is the parameter. See, the auto restart is on, which means the crash recovery is done when the database is activated by default by db2, and the database is brought into consistent state. If this is turned off, in rare cases, if this is turned off, you have to do a db2 restart database. I mean, usually this is turned on by default, and rare cases if this is turned off and you have to do crash recovery, you have to issue this command. So let's go back to the slides. Okay, so in the diag log or the logs, error logs, you see the crash recovery messages whenever db2 does that. So I'm going to ask you these questions. What is the default logging mode? So as discussed earlier, the default logging mode is circular, and for production databases or for any important databases, I recommend enabling archival logging for online backups and point-in-time recovery. Can we take online backup with circular logging mode? No, we cannot take online backups, and we have seen that, and we have to enable archival logging. And because let's say there is a database, the big database that takes like three hours to back up the database, and within this 3 hour window, there might be transactions running on the database. There might be changes happening to the data, and if you have online backup, you need archival logs because these changes needs to be captured as well. So what is the difference between offline and online backup? As discussed earlier, offline backup, the database is completely offline and nobody can connect to the database while the backup is being taken. So normally for 24 by 7 systems, you take online backups. So how do you recover if you have online backup? For online backups, you have to restore from the backup as well as roll forward using the logs. For offline backups, you just restore and you don't bother about the logs. That is the difference. Thank you, guys.